How can you transform a simple sequence into something like this? Modulation, that is the key. Taking advantage of modulations is a great way to step up your sequences. OXI One offers you many ways to do that, both via CV and MIDI. 4 mod lanes, 2 LFOs, velocity, gate, length, and so on and on. You can really tweak everything you want. Let me show you some quick examples where modulation added new layers to a fairly basic sequence. But before going on, remember that this is not going to be a tutorial. If you want to learn everything about using CV and gates on OXI One, check the link in the description. For the first example, I created a 7-step sequence. I harmonized it to track 4, where I pre-selected few chords and sequenced them. In this way, even with a few steps, your melodic lines will follow your harmonic progression. Easy. Now it's time to add some modulations. First, I draw some velocity and gate modulation. You can do that by clicking the velocity and gate encoder. Now let me show you how I mapped the CV and gate page. CV and gate outs 1 go to the pitch and gate inputs of the Cascadia. CV2 uses the velocity modulation I showed you before. I will plug it into the VCA level control of the Cascadia. CV3 will use the same velocity modulation, and I will patch it into the filter frequency input of the synth. So notes with higher velocity will open more the filter. CV4 is mapped to modulation lane 1. And I will patch it to the pulse width input. CV5 will modulate filter Q using a slow LFO I set up in OXI One LFO page. Lastly, CV6 will use the same LFO to modulate the fold on Cascadia. The last step I want to take is decoupling the sequence nodes from their tricks. To do that, I set up a different sequence on track 2 using a different time division. It's super simple to switch the gate out. This is how I do it, and this is how it sounds. The sequence now is way more interesting and expressive. For the second example, I am using OXI Choral, 2 metas, and a combination of CV and MIDI modulation. I will put down a few chords on track 1, super basic. Let's make them more interesting. I will take advantage of MIDI instrument preset, pressing Shift and track 1 3 times, and selecting Choral as my instrument. In this way, the modulation lanes are pre-mapped to some useful destinations, and you will find all the other possible destinations in the mod lane setup page, clicking Shift and the relative lane encoder. I already set the filter modulation using mod lane 1. In OXI One, the 4 mod lanes are decoupled from the main sequence, so I set up a different length to have a constant variation. I am also modulating filter attack, level, and noise. Now the simple chords became more interesting and dynamic. Let's now add some effects with meta. Here is where I used CV and gate outs. Gate outs 8 and 9 are clocking my metas. The first meta is working as a delay and the second one as a reverb. CV7 and 8 are mapped to a sample and hold waveform I picked in the LFO page, and they modulate meta's control parameter. While meta is thought as a transition module, it works really well as an effect processor too. I'm tuning the noise down and I will bring in a melody line. Let's modulate the filter on the melody track. I will pick choral again in the instrument preset, so the filter modulation will be already mapped in Modulating 1. I want to remove the smoothing. So in a very fast way, I transform my sequence using modulation. Obviously, using MIDI is really convenient. Using a single cable, I can control all choral parameters. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please follow our channel and go have some fun using modulations.